PS 276, also known as Battery Park City School in Battery Park City, was for the New York School Construction Authority, and it was completed in about 2011. It was the first project to incorporate what has become a standard for the New York City School Construction Authority called the Green Schools Guide. It's a document that we developed as essentially a LEED equivalent guide that could be incorporated into not only this project, but future projects. The SCA is one of the largest developers in New York. It's a huge school system, and they have design equity. A school designed in Battery Park, a school designed at the other end of the city, up in the Bronx, are designed to the same performance and design standards. For the first time, they wanted to incorporate sustainable standards into their regular design standards.
The project is the Battery Park City Parks Conservancy Maintenance Facility. We had two clients. We had the Battery Park City Authority and the Battery Park City Conservancy. The Conservancy was the end user of the project. The Battery Park City Authority managed and maintained all of the redevelopments in Battery Park City. The authority had their own sustainability guidelines that followed the LEED format, and it was geared primarily towards all of the housing development. The maintenance facility that we designed was meant for maintaining all of the parkland down in Battery Park City. The function of the building was to really house the people who managed the programming, horticulturists, electricians. So there was a wide range of materials that had to be put into this facility. And a lot of those materials was actually stored at the school site.
So it was really pure happenstance that these projects happened the way they did at roughly the same time and definitely the same place. They're across the street from each other. We discovered that there was a sort of symbiotic, programmatic relationship between the two projects.
Yeah. The two projects had this very close relationship. We had to help the School Construction Authority and the Battery Park City Authority understand how their two sustainability guidelines work together. We found out that the Battery Park City Authority design guidelines didn't really anticipate something like the Green Schools Guide. There was a lot of overlap, a lot of things that did align, but there were a lot of things that just weren't applicable to the school.
There's an opportunity to make this a demonstration project. And when I pass by the school now, I think of all those kids who were in primary school then, and I imagine that maybe a couple of them became environmental engineers. At least all of them were introduced to sustainable design at an early age.
The final project actually involved this signage program that explained some of the sustainability measures that were baked into the school. And I think that really did have a significant impact. There was a fundamental understanding and comprehension for all these students that we live on one planet, limited resources. Yeah, it's nice to see that project have such an impact.
There was a lot of organic material being processed through the school, and that was one of the major ties between the maintenance facility and the school, feeding into those anaerobic digesters that were in the facility that were then turned into a mulch for the maintenance of the Battery Park City landscape. There's always serendipity in every project, and I think especially as sustainable designers, we should always take advantage of those things as they occur.
Shefa is an independent Jewish day school for students with language-based learning disabilities. Its founder, Alana Rusky-Kidd, is this visionary leader who saw an unmet need to support these students that weren't thriving in conventional teaching models. She had founded the school. It was extremely successful, and within a few years, they had outgrown their leased space in Midtown Manhattan. We worked with them to get to know them and developed a growth model for the students and the faculty and a space program that we could test out on sites around the city. We looked at existing buildings for very practical reasons. We needed to get into a space as soon as possible, and we were trying to control costs. We eventually proposed a location and building that had a lot of great qualities centrally located just west of Central Park. It was a standalone building, so the school could identify with a building. It was sized in a way that fit their program range. They fell in love with this 100-year-old building. It had a crumbling facade, and it needed quite a lot of work. But we were excited about the challenge and saw a lot of opportunity in the site. The word Shefa means abundance, and its logo is this little budding plant. So when we think about design and sustainability, their branding was a really nice complement. Every square inch of this building is maximized for efficiency. Everything needs to serve this dual purpose. Every classroom subdivides into 2 core instruction spaces. The ground floor prayer room doubles as indoor recreation space, and it aids in arrival and dismissal. Multi-use spaces have always been a critical driver in the planning of schools. We leaned into that and thought of the school as this plant that's growing through. You can see this as evidence in the way the materials navigate the vertical ascent and the green bursting through the top of the building, looked at using plant-based materials and an abundance of daylight in the spaces. We found parity in not only cost, but also durability. Let's say a plant-based linoleum product versus a plastic-based VCT product. Lastly, the big win here is that it is an adaptive reuse project. At Dattner, we see adaptive reuse as this opportunity to reduce resources, reducing embodied carbon in our built work. Shefa is this beautiful example of how we took a mid-block blight, we renovated it, we activated this streetscape, and it serves as a community anchor.
We're excited to see what we can do next in education. We worked on Stanley Man, which was a all-electric lab building for Bronx High School of Science prior to code mandating that all buildings had to be all electric. We're currently working on a New York City public school with the School Construction Authority and seeing how they've evolved the Green Schools Guide and added tools to make sure that we're designing good buildings and care deeply about the health of the students and the staff that use these buildings. We're working on Spark for the School Construction Authority, very ambitious in its sustainability goals, keeping in mind circularity, the use of biogenic material, and deep energy reduction. We are excited for the potential of working on a passive house school for the School Construction Authority to find a way to make passive house work for them in the same way that we help them figure out how to make LEED work for them when we help develop the Green Schools Guide. Space is a premium, and instead of building out, we need to start thinking about building up. And how can we talk about schools being built at the base of a mixed-use building and take advantage of different heating, cooling profiles, hot water needs, so that the 2 programs can be in sync? We can think of this as like this vertical district energy system that really feeds off of each other. There's a lot of things to look forward to. How do we make sure that we continue to provide schools that foster learning for younger students while also meeting more aggressive code and regulatory requirements around the types of materials we use, the way we build our buildings, and the types of systems that we use?